And good evening, everybody. Welcome here as we get ready for the beginning of our second half of the regular season. The chase towards the chase for the championship, I like to call it, here in the Hersheys Cup Series. We're under the lights here tonight for knockout qualifying at Charlotte Motor Speedway. This track brought about some absolutely unbelievable all-star racing this past weekend. And now we're going to see what they're going to do with points back on the line. Kyle Mathews, the first one off pit road, and drivers have and teams have started putting together their scenarios, if you will, for the second half of the season. As far as looking towards the chase for the championship, we've actually had some charters swap hands during the course of All-Star Race Weekend. We'll document them in just a mere moment. Kyle Mathews now on the clock, along with Cody Llamas. I believe Zachary Fitzwater also is now on the clock. Kyle Mathews was the pole sitter for the All-Star race and actually finished somewhat decently. I think he finished up, he was in the top 10 if I remember correctly. So he's got a good car, and we'll see if he can put it on the pole position. Of course, the Daytona 500 winner trying to make the chase for the championship as he'll cross the line. It's a 27.8 flat. Cody Llamas beat that, 27.627. We'll see a lot of drivers in the 27s tonight, maybe as high, it's fast as the 26s. And there's one of the cars that we were going to talk about here as far as chartered rides. Cat Tellier, the rookie out of KAB Racing Enterprises, is now a chartered machine. Working a deal out with the owner of Fire Ice Racing, Emmanuel Hartnett. Hartnett has sold the charter for the number 83 team of John Cittadino over to KAB Racing Enterprises, and Cat Tellier is now locked into every single race. So we'll see how she does. Also now, this might put some pressure on Cole Baker as far as the battle for the Rookie of the Year honor. Cat just crossed the line with the fastest speed right there, 27.218. And Zachary Fitzwater beating that one now. I don't remember if the other driver that's a chartered car now is in this one or not. He is not, so we'll document the other driver in the second heat of this first round. But Cat Tellier, as before mentioned, oh, she just hit the 26s, 26.918. Cat Tellier would love to, in her first chartered race, be able to start on the pole position. Then you got Fitzwater, Matthew Dalio, Stephanie Gardner, and Zachary Stultz. Right now, 3 go-or-go homers inside the top 5. Now, one driver is in this field that we do have to talk about, and it will see the driver that the storyline's related to in the second heat. That's James Qualls. James Qualls is now a non-chartered machine in the 70 car. So now all 3 of the rides out of Joanna Atwood Motorsports are non-chartered machines now. James Qualls selling his charter to Michael Norman Motorsports and their rookie driver, Nathan Hudson, who we will see in the second heat. Anthony McCrury, the defending champion, is the fastest on track right now. And as soon as I say that, he drops to 3rd. Srigley now top of the leaderboard, along with Cat Tellier, and McCrury just beat his best lap, but he's in 4th place right now. Daniel Voyles has now jumped up to 3rd. So now it's Srigley at the top of the leaderboard. 26.759. And that time he was about 3/10 slower. Looking like Joseph Srigley will move into the next round. Daniel Voyles the same. O'Neal Balvin's now up to 3rd. And Dillon Young top of the leaderboard. The White Deuce out of Young Motorsports is now the fastest car on track with about 20 seconds remaining in this session. Right now, the driver in the final transfer spot would be Zachary Fitzwater with a 26.976. See if Dillon Young can beat his own lap time here. He did. 26.702. And Seth Cole just eliminated out both Jessica Shelton and Zachary Fitzwater. There's 20 seconds left to go for someone to lay down a lap time. Seth Cole now in the bubble spot. 26.973. He's 1/1000th ahead of Shelton. And he was 3/1000ths ahead of, I think it was Fitzwater, but now he just got misplaced. Someone just jumped up there into the top 12 as now Zachary Stultz is on the bubble. And I believe it is now over as far as being able to lay down lap times. Stultz, Benjamin Miles, Austin Mongold, Keith Batson, McCrury, McIntire, Dunham. Oh, Dunham almost, oh, he did get the wall. Yikes, oh, and he's going to get wrecked. He got wrecked by Seth Cole just after transferring. Cat Tellier, O'Neal Balvin, Daniel Voyles, Joseph Srigley, and there you see the fastest car in this session, Dillon Young in the 2 car. So as far as non-chartered cars go, we're going to have, if my calculations are correct, 5 drivers from this round moving into round number 2. Balvin, 4, because Tellier's a chartered car. So Balvin, Batson, Mongold, and Stultz, they will all move into the next round as non-chartered cars. Chartered cars will be Dillon Young, Joseph Srigley, Daniel Voyles, O'Neal Balvin, Cat Tellier, or make that Voyles Tellier, not Balvin. Dunham, McIntire, McCrury, Benjamin Miles. They'll move into the next round of qualifying drivers. At this point, if we have more than 3 drivers transfer their way in the second heat that will not make a start in this race will include Seth Cole, Matthew Dalio, Zachary, Stephanie Gardner, Elijah Gordon, James Qualls will end up missing out on this race. He was 21st. Aaron Henderson, John Gilbert. As we look further down, all the other drivers, Garrett Sidner also will end up missing this race if more than 3 drivers transfer into the next round of qualifying in our next heat. So don't go away. Let's get ready now for the second heat here tonight of round 1 at Charlotte. Alright, so it's time for the second heat of the first round of qualifying. Already we got, I believe that's Zach Rogers heading off of pit road. We already talked about the charter exchange between the 35 team of Cat Tellier and the 83 team of John Cittadino. And then we also briefly touched on James Qualls and his charter going to Nathan Hudson for the second half of the season. We will see the 7 of Hudson in this heat. I believe also we will see in this heat, and I might be wrong, let me just double check. Oh, nope, okay, he was in the first heat. The All-Star race winner, Jake Baskinger. But Baskinger is not in this heat. He was in the first heat. And so we'll see what he can do in this upcoming Coca-Cola 600. Now, it's going to be very interesting to see this race, too, because the longest segment that they ran in the All-Star race was 50 laps, and that was the first segment. They're going to be running a total of 60 laps for the main event Coca-Cola 600. So that'll be very interesting. First lap time in this heat laid down by Zach Rogers, 27.653. And now we'll start to see some other drivers probably put themselves in the 27s. 27.3 now for Zach Rogers. Saw double wide, John Andrews, James Richardson come up the road. There's Charles Sandfer. As Zach Rogers works his way around Jason Heywood in the 72. A couple of other drivers just hit the 27s. Emmanuel Hartnett 27.396, and Joshua Michaels just at a 27.2. He's top of the leaderboard as Zach Rogers, I think, got the wall there, and Jason Heywood had to go through the grass to avoid him. And now Emmanuel Hartnett top of the leaderboard, 27.119. Dougie Shears 27.155 in second place. Let's find that 97 of Hartnett. There he is. Defending winner of this race is actually going to be in the field. I don't know where he's running right now, but that would be James Richardson, who, when he went to victory lane in this event last year, was driving the number 6 car Roush Fenway Racing, now driven by Aaron Henderson. Right now, 19th fastest on the charts is Richardson. There's Nathan Hudson. We talked about that he's a chartered ride now. Right now, he's 12th. Well, as soon as I say that, he dropped to 14th. Like somebody else may have had to put their left front just off into the infield. Kicked up some dust there on the D-shaped front straightaway. Now, Jake Baskinger won the All-Star race out of Fitzwater Australia Racing. Right now, his rookie teammate, Dougie Shears, is the fastest on track in this second heat of the first round. 26.750, and Charles Sandfer just beat it. 26.731 for the Reese's Pieces Chevrolet out of S3 Motorsports. Or no, I'm sorry, Retro Racing Enterprises. Getting their offline and online teams mixed up here. Someone just got the wall off that corner. I don't know who it was, but somebody did. Might have been Hartnett, might have been Marty Johnson. William Brock just jumped up to second fastest in the 15. He's back there behind Tim Walsh. As a matter of fact, the top 4 in speeds are running in that pack. The 03, the 21, 15, and 5. Uh-oh, slow pack up here. Oh, they wrecked! They just wrecked Dougie Shears and Marty Johnson. I think Johnny Gardner and Peachy Lennon were coming to pit road, and they're still wrecking. Dougie Shears is upside down. Joe Rockingham's involved. Nathan Hudson, John Andrews. There's Davey Johnson getting into it. I don't think it's over. Kyle Keith just got involved. And looks like now the track clears. Keep in mind, being the first heat, these drivers can go to backup cars and still maintain their spot in the top 12 moving on to the next round. Rounds 2 and 3, if they wreck, that's when they would have to go to backup machines at the rear of the field. And it looks like this session is going to come to a close with Charles Sandfer, the fastest car on track. And there you go, we've now hit the cool down session, and so Charles Sandfer will move on to the next round, along with William Brock, Dougie Shears, who'll probably have to go to a backup car after we saw the incident with him and Marty Johnson over in turn 4. Tim Walsh moves on to the next round as well, as Zack Flickinger. John Cittadino, now a non-chartered car, but he'll move on to the next round. So will Emmanuel Hartnett, Joshua Michaels, John Andrews, Grayson Acevedo, Jason Heywood, and Nathan Hudson. There are only 4 non-chartered cars that are moving on to the next round in this one. And so that means that only 1 non-chartered car will be going home. I think 4 transferred in from the first heat and 4 transferred in from this heat. So it's going to be a battle to be that 7th highest non-chartered car. Oh, wait a minute. No, I apologize. Only 3 non-chartered cars in this. Oh, no, there are 4. Never mind. I am right. Yep. Cittadino, Shears, Andrews, and Heywood. I thought for a moment there that I didn't count Hudson as a chartered car, but I did. So the drivers that at this point will officially not be starting this race in this heat will be Holden Gluba, Johnny Gardner, Joe Rockingham, James McLeod, Marty Johnson, Davey Johnson, Zach Rogers, Kyle Keith, and Noah Kars, Pichu London, and Marie Manobi. And only time will tell whether or not they may try and do a charter swap for the 42 car. If they do that, like they did a couple of weeks ago, back in, I think it was, what was it, Kansas or something like that, then we could end up having it be a battle between 6 drivers, or 7 drivers for 6 spots in the second round of qualifying. It's all going to really depend on if a Sega Motorsports car can make it into the race via speed. And right now, I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember where Trent Dunham, nor Sean Galligan, nor Ryan Madden, where they were in the first heat. So if none of them moved on to the next round, Kyle Keith will probably not make this race. But we'll find out all that in just mere moments. We're going to head now for our second round of qualifying as 24 drivers continue to move on for a chance to start on the pole for the Coca-Cola 600. Don't go away. So this could turn into two different races depending on the finishing result of one driver. That driver would be the one of Trent Dunham. Now, Trent Dunham, his goal here in this session is to, not only for himself, but for his teammate, be in the top 12, the final top 12 that would move on to the next round of qualifying. Now, the reason for this being is because Trent Dunham could enter into this second round here as a non-chartered car. If he can manage to finish, I believe it would be 6th out of the 8 non-chartered cars, if you include himself as a non-chartered car, in this session, then Trent Dunham can make the race on speed. Kyle Keith can get in with the one car's charter. Shades of what we saw done back 2 weeks ago in the last regular season race of the first half of the season. And for some reason I cannot seem to mind where that race took place. But we're looking at Nathan Hudson here. Didn't even need a charter at this point to move on to the next round, and now trying to make his way into round 3 to start on the pole position. So far this season, Michael Norman Motorsports has yet to have a driver of theirs sit on the pole. And first lap time laid down is 27.748. Dougie Shears behind him, just now on the clock, and that is a backup machine after the incident we saw near the end of the second heat of the first round of qualifying. John Andrews, the rookie there. Keith Batson, another rookie. A couple of non-chartered cars. Anthony McCrury could be a sleeper in this whole thing. And there's the car that Kyle Keith is pulling for. Trent Dunham, he needs to finish in the top 12 to move on to the next round, or he needs to be higher than 2 other non-chartered cars in the standings here. Once this session is complete, he's now on the clock. There's a number of drivers there that haven't yet left pit road. Sandfer, Mongold, Voyles, Ciculii just now leaving. Joseph Srigley also sitting there. There's Kat Tellier. And she is now on the clock, as Dougie Shears currently has the fastest lap in this session. One driver I haven't seen yet. There he is. I was wondering where the fastest car in the first heat was, and there's Dillon Young. Ciculii and Mongold now merge onto the racetrack. They'll only have less than 2 minutes to be able to lay down a lap time here. See what Dillon Young's first lap time is going to be here in this session, and it will be a 27.916. That's only 15th fastest. Emmanuel Hartnett, top of the leaderboard, 27.104. And as soon as I say that, a couple of drivers hitting the 26s. A couple of rookies, O'Neal Balvin and Zachary Stultz. So Balvin right now, remember he started on the pole at Talladega. He also, I think, followed up the next week, starting on the outside of the front row. That car is really good when it comes to qualifying speed. And he might beat his own lap time. He does, 26.856 now for Balvin, but it didn't beat Zachary Stultz. Stultz beat his own lap. Oh, there's a tight draft right here. Charles Sandfer, Trent Dunham, Zachary Stultz. This could be good for that one car, who right now is 11th fastest on track. Oh, Stultz tucking right in behind Sandfer. Close call there. And Trent jumped up to 8th. So things looking good for Kyle Keith to maybe make this race. Remember, Kyle Keith ended up winning at Pocono, so Sega Motorsports trying to get him charters wherever they can so that way he can get himself into the top 30 in points and be eligible for the chase. But right now, you were looking at the fastest car on track with a 26.564 for Zachary Stultz. And right now, Tim Walsh and Trent Dunham sit in the final 2 transfer spots to move on to the next round. Kat Tellier just on the outside looking in, along with teammate Keith Batson. John Cittadino in the 83. Let's see who the 2 lowest non-chartered cars would be at this point. They would be Dougie Shears and Jason Heywood, who are 18th and 19th respectively. Those would be the two that would not move on to the next round, or would not move into the main event. And Heywood right now, 15th fastest. I think he may have just jumped up. Yes, he did. So that puts Cittadino and Dougie Shears now in the 2 elimination spots. And I think the session may have just come to a close. So it looks like John Cittadino and Dougie Shears, they will not start this race. We'll wait for official complete scoring here before we make any further predictions. Just in case there's something that happens here. There's Zachary Stultz. He's going to pit road, and the session's complete. So, Trent Dunham managed to finish up ahead of a number of other non-chartered cars, so he'll make it in on speed. The charter of his will probably go over to Kyle Keith, so Kyle Keith will make the race. And the drivers that at this point are going to make the race on speed, that would be non-chartered cars, would be Zachary Stultz, O'Neal Balvin, Austin Mongold, John Andrews, Keith Batson, Cat Tellier, and because Kyle Keith would get in via Trent Dunham's charter, that means that Jason Heywood is going to come up just short. He will not be in... Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I might have made a mistake here. Let's see. Stultz, Balvin, Mongold, Andrews, Batson. No, Heywood does get the final transfer spot. And then with Kyle Keith taking the charter from Trent Dunham, he would get the final spot in the field, which means that John Cittadino and Dougie Shears, they move on to the second round of qualifying, but they will not start this race. So that's how it's going to go down. So the 7 drivers, again, that will transfer into the go or go home slots will be Zachary Stultz, O'Neal Balvin, Austin Mongold, John Andrews, Keith Batson, Jason Heywood, and Kyle Keith. And look at that. 3 cars. All 3 of the cars from KAB Racing Enterprise is going to be racing in this one. Boy, that was close. And all 3 of them will be, so that'll be interesting. So now let's get ready, as it'll be Stultz, Balvin, McIntire, Sandfer, McCrury, Brock, Mongold, Michaels, Andrews, Hartnett, Walch, and Dunham, all fighting to try and get the pole position here for the Coca-Cola 600. At least 3 of them that I can remember are former pole sitters this season. Alright then, so 5 minutes, 12 drivers trying to start on the pole position for the Coca-Cola 600. As I said, 3 drivers that I know of are former pole sitters this season. Actually, I believe I said that incorrectly. I believe there are actually 4. Nope, 3. And those 3 that I can remember, and there may be some that I missed. We're looking at one of them right here. Joshua Michaels started on the pole for the Great American Race Daytona 500. We were just looking at O'Neal Balvin. He started on the pole at Talladega, and Levi McIntire started on the pole back at Las Vegas. But we have an opportunity here for a first-time pole sitter as well, as Joshua Michaels is now on the clock. Not bad strategy, getting out here early. Run yourself a lap time, maybe make an adjustment, have some time to go out there, maybe lay down another couple of laps before the session is complete. There you see Trent Dunham. Now Trent Dunham, as we said, qualified up high enough here on speed that he'll be able to give his charter to rookie Kyle Keith and still make this race in on speed. And he'll get tucked in right behind Joshua Michaels, who laid down a 27.951 for the first lap time of the evening in the 3rd round of qualifying. Trent Dunham's going to get some nice draft here. He may end up beating that. Let's see. Nope, not quite. Michaels 27.5 and Dunham with a 27.8. Charles Sandfer, about well, not even really half a straightaway, maybe about a third of a straightaway behind them. As Emmanuel Hartnett just laid down his first lap time, so did O'Neal Balvin. And this time around, Michaels beats his lap, but Dunham beats it too by 7/100ths. But Sandfer, wow! That distance he has between himself and those two, got himself a great draft lap and 26.962. I wouldn't be surprised if he beats that. He's still got a nice little distance there where he can get the slipstream off the 10 and the 1. Let's see if he can beat a 26.9 that he just laid down, and he did. 26.6. He is flying. William Brock, 26.7. John Andrews, 26.8. They must have just gotten the draft off of Levi McIntire, but they're both 1/10 and 2/10 respectively off Charles Sandfer, who just beat his own fast lap again, 26.473. Talk about a statement out of the gate here. Charles Sandfer was really fast in the second heat of the first round of qualifying. Follows it up here in the third round of qualifying, and right now it's looking like Retro Racing Enterprises may end up starting on their second pole of the season. Jessica Shelton was a former pole sitter back at, I want to say, Atlanta. It was an earlier race. I think it was Atlanta. Maybe I'm wrong. I more than likely am. 1 minute left. Does anybody have anything for Sandfer? I'd be shocked if they did. 26.4. That is a statement lap right there. And he might be able to beat it here, getting the draft off of McCrury. Nope, 26.5 was what he just ran that lap. Right now, your top 5 would consist of no teammates. Sandfer out of Retro Racing Enterprises, William Brock out of William Brock Motorsports, John Andrews out of Roush Fenway Racing, Joshua Michaels out of Rage Motorsports, and Trent Dunham out of Sega Motorsports. Then you got Levi McIntire, Zachary Stultz, O'Neal Balvin, Anthony McCrury, and Austin Mongold. Top 10 would consist of absolutely no teammates whatsoever. And right now, Emmanuel Hartnett and Tim Walch, they've run in the 27s as well, but they both are 11th and 12th right now. 27.7s for them. As a matter of fact, as I look here, there are only 2 teammates that moved into this final round, and that's the 97 and the 95, Mongold and Emmanuel Hartnett out of Srigley Motorsports. I think we can safely say with 10 seconds to go, whoa, Charles Sandfer slowing up. And he almost got wrecked there by Joshua Michaels. Keep in mind, if Michaels had wrecked him and Sandfer had to retire, well, that car that right now is situated on the pole position would have had to go to the garage. And looks like he's going to coast the car to pit road. Not tear that thing up. And Charles Sandfer, wait a minute. Did that car just die on him? The car's still under power, but I don't know what the deal was there. He just stopped and teleported to pit road. Okay. Well, whatever the case, session should be complete now. It is indeed. And Charles Sandfer will start on the pole for the Coca-Cola 600 alongside of William Brock. Row 2 will be John Andrews and Joshua Michaels. Row 3, Trent Dunham, Levi McIntire. Row 4, Anthony McCrury and Zachary Stultz. Row 5, O'Neal Balvin and Austin Mongold. And row 6 will be Emmanuel Hartnett and Tim Walsh. Andrews, Stultz, Balvin, Mongold, they get 4 of the spots to transfer into the main event as non-chartered cars. The other 3 spots go to Keith Batson, Jason Heywood, and the charter swap from Trent Dunham to Kyle Keith puts Kyle Keith in the final transfer spot in this starting lineup. So, if you want to know what the starting lineup is going to look like for the Coca-Cola 600, take a look down in the description. The starting lineup is there, and we will get ready for our next points-paying race. After the All-Star race, we're getting ready to go back in the chase for the championship here in the longest race of the season under the lights at Charlotte. Hope you'll tune in for that. I will see you guys next time as you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.